Hello again and welcome. Today I'm going to be attempting to finish this Apple Union, which I rough turned about 6-8 weeks ago, and I think due to the very hot weather we've had over the last few months, it's actually dried out quite nicely. It was 22% in some parts when I put it into the shavings and the brown paper bag, and now it's sort of averaging around 6 to 7%, which is really more than dry enough to finish turn. There are going to be a few issues with it and a few problems. Before we go into those, I'm very pleased with the trunk part, which I heavily CA'd and sawdusted to make it stable. That hasn't increased any of its cracks, and in fact none of the walls have produced any cracking at all, so in that respect I'm very pleased. The problem I'm going to have is, because of its very uneven nature, this part here is, forget the bulge, but even on the top here it's around sort of 15 to 20 mil, and on the other side here there are parts which are only 3 or 4 mil, and that's just the nature of the beast, if you like. So I'm going to try and sort of true it up a little bit on the inside on the lathe, but I have a fear that it's going to be the majority of copious sanding. I don't want to lose the outside. Again, in a dilemma how to finish the outside. I don't want it all shiny, so I mean the easiest option would be to spray it with lacquer. I think what I'm going to be doing is brushing off any loose parts and giving it a good dosing of Danish oil, and I most probably will resort to that on the inside of the bowl as well, because there is some lovely figure in there which hopefully will stand out. But take for example here, that edge there is rolling over a bit, and if I start taking off there, I'm going to take off here. I don't want to lose that profile of the unevenness over the top, so I'm very reluctant to remove anything here. So I'm not sure how I'm going to play it, and of course where the tenon is, that basically just about 3 or 4 mil above that is where I've hollowed out on the inside, so I've got to be careful with that as well. So I'm going to mount it to the lathe. The tenon is still okay to use in the chuck. I tried that out and it's fine, so I'll be mounting it, seeing what I can do on the inside, and then basically just possibly sanding to finish it off. Okay, let's see how it goes. Well, I think that's about as far as I'm going to be able to go now, as far as gouges are concerned. I'm quite pleased with the shape inside, although as I say it's uneven thickness on the walls, but that's unavoidable because of the shape of the piece. So now copious quantities of sanding on the inside, and we'll just see how it ends up. So just to keep you updated, some of the cracking on the trunk area here, the CA obviously didn't penetrate to here, so I'm going to retouch that up. And there's also some quite bad tear out just in this area here to the middle. It's quite soft wood, so I'm going to treat that with sealer and see how that goes. And I'll most probably continue sanding off the lathe. So I'll come back to you when we're in a better position. Well, it's over a week since I started sanding this piece. The reason being is I've had to work 8 days straight, so I haven't been able to get back to it. There was an awful lot of hand sanding, both with power sanding with a drill, with the Hope Pro sander, and indeed hand sanding. There was quite a bit of tear out this area here, and I think that was due to the fact that that's where the trunk came through, and I'll put a picture up here if I remember, showing you to remind you what it looked like in the beginning. So I applied no less than 5 coats of sanding sealer, allowing it to dry, and in between each application sanded again, and I was using 120 grit to get rid of 99.9% of that tear out, which I've done, but that did take 5 coats or 5 applications of sanding sealer. Then I sanded through the grits up to 400, then I applied Yorkshire grit and Hampshire Sheen High Gloss, and I'm quite happy with how it's turned out. It's not perfect by any means, but it's acceptable. With regards to the outside, I've pondered over that. It's better. I really do want to try and keep it as natural as possible. I toyed with the idea of airbrushing it, a sort of a browny, greeny, tingy colour, but then I thought, no, I want to keep it natural, and it's not because I'm lazy, I just want to do that. So I put a couple of coats of sanding sealer on here to see how it will look, and I'm quite pleased with it. It shows all the different colours, etc. Now, much deliberation, I tried a little piece somewhere here. I've decided to go with a spray gloss lacquer on the outside, so it'll retain the colour, it'll give it a bit of protection, and hopefully it'll give it a bit of a sheen as well. It might take 3 or 4 coats, I don't know, but that's what I'm going to be doing. And then I want to try and keep this piece here. It's going to be a bit clunky, but the whole bowl is clunky as a foot, so there will be a bit of, I should imagine I'll take it down to about here. So it's going to be a wide foot, and sand off the bottom, and then it'll be finished. I'm not sure whether it's everybody's cup of tea. I'm not even sure if it's my cup of tea, to be honest with you, but it was a great challenge, and I thank you again, William, for giving me this piece of wood. I've learned quite a bit actually about various things, especially of getting rid of tear out. I tried everything regarding scrapers, negative rate scrapers, and it wasn't working, but the sanding sealer certainly worked. But there was a lot of sanding work and finishing work to be done on the inside, and I think it's because the way the wood is, simple as that. Okay, I'll get on with that, and I'll come back when I got a parting off. Well, it's finally finished, and I'm relatively pleased with the end result. Didn't turn out exactly as I'd envisaged, but nevertheless got some beautiful figure on the inside the bowl. It stands at 5 inches tall at its highest point and 10 inches across at its widest point. And although it caused quite a few problems with regards to tear out in the middle, 5 coats of sanding sealer and a lot of hand sanding got rid of 99.9% of it. I finished the inside then with Yorkshire grit and Hampshire sheen, and I put 4 coats, maybe 4 or 5 coats of acrylic lacquer on the outside, which has given it a nice luster as opposed to a shine, which I'm quite pleased with. So yeah, all in all, I think I'm happy with it. So thank you very much indeed for sticking with me. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers now.